The Constitution is at the foundation of our republic's success, and we each strive not to lose sight of our promise to defend it.
Put your mask on.
Don't tell me what to do.
Please put your mask on. It's required by law in this airport.
I love our country. I believe that our Constitution was inspired by Providence. I'm convinced that freedom itself is dependent on the strength and vitality of our national character.
Are you going to support him in the fraudulent votes?
The election? No, I'm not.
Why not?
The allegations made in the articles of impeachment are very serious. As a senator juror, I swore an oath before God to exercise impartial justice. I am profoundly religious.
It's a long story, but we have a Constitution. The constitutional process is clear. I'll follow the Constitution, and I'll explain all that when we meet in Congress this week.
My faith is at the heart of who I am.
I work for the people of Utah.
Exactly, and I am from Utah.
Yes, well, but you're not the only one.
I voted. I know, there's a lot of people that didn't vote for you. We'll make sure of that one.
Of course I'll be proud of it. That's totally appropriate.
You admit it, you know?
I take an oath before God as enormously consequential. I knew from the outset that being tasked with judging the president, the leader of my own party, would be the most difficult decision I have ever faced.
You admit it, you know it. You know it's coming.
They didn't want you in there anyway, so to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't even voted in legally.
Trump is a juggernaut, your legacy is nothing.
You're a joke. Absolute joke. It's a disgusting shame.
The president's insistence that they be investigated by the Ukrainians is hard to explain other than as a political pursuit. There's no question in my mind that were their names not Biden, the president would never have done what he did.
And
The people will judge us for how well and faithfully we fulfill our duty. The president asked a foreign government to investigate his political rival. The president withheld vital military funds from that government to press it to do so. The president delayed funds for an American ally at war with Russian invaders. The president's purpose was personal and political.
Traitor! 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 Traitor!
Accordingly, the president is guilty of an appalling abuse of public trust. What he did was not perfect. No, it was a flagrant assault on our electoral rights, our national security, and our fundamental values.
Traitor! Resign, Mitt! We want to know your connection to Burisma and Joe Biden, Mitt Romney. Your constituents want to know why you are not going to certify the Electoral College.
Corrupting an election to keep oneself in office is perhaps the most abusive and destructive violation of one's oath of office that I can imagine.
Traitor! 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 Traitor!
But my promise before God to apply impartial justice required that I put my personal feelings and political biases aside. Were I to ignore the evidence that has been presented and disregard what I believe my oath and the Constitution demands of me for the sake of a partisan end, it would, I fear, expose my character to history's rebuke and the censure of my own conscience.
Traitor! 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 Traitor!
I'm sure to hear abuse from the president and his supporters. Does anyone seriously believe that I would consent to these consequences other than from an inescapable conviction that my oath before God demanded it of me? I acknowledge that my verdict will not remove the president from office. The results of this Senate court will in fact be appealed to a higher court, the judgment of the American people. Voters, but irrespective of these things, with my vote, I will tell my children and their children that I did my duty to the best of my ability. believing that my country expected it of me. I will only be one name among many, no more, no less, to future generations of Americans who look at the record of this trial. They will note merely that I was among the senators who determined that what the president did was wrong, grievously wrong.
Traitor! 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 Traitor!
We are all footnotes at best in the annals of history, but in the most powerful nation on earth, the nation conceived in liberty and justice, that distinction is enough for any citizen.
I believe that the act he took, an effort to corrupt an election, is as destructive an attack on the oath of office and on our Constitution as I can imagine. It is a high crime and misdemeanor within the meaning of the
Traitor! Traitor! Resign, Mitt!
And applying impartial justice said what the president did was grievously wrong. And I had to vote if I was going to live with my own conscience in a way that was consistent with that oath of office.